Western Illinois head coach Joe Davis, the team came from behind 24-21 victors against Lindenwood this past week. This week, SEMO comes to town. So, coach, thoughts about your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, proud and excited for our players. We've had a lot of kind of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, this fall and some close losses and probably had some games where in all three phases we probably played better than we did actually on Saturday afternoon, but for a variety of reasons couldn't come up with the victory. So just the resiliency by the staff, by the players. I don't think anybody on our sideline ever felt like we were out of it. We had a lot of kind of close, I should say, near misses, I think, in that game early that prevented us from trying to get in control of it. Whether it be a couple drop passes, a couple misfits on defense, quarterback a tick early or a tick late, and we were kind of at halftime being like, let's stay the course, feel like we got a good plan, and just proud again of the players and staff for pulling through. So much needed victory at home, and in the midst of preparation for a very tradition rich and well coached and very talented SEMO football team coming here to Hanson Field on Saturday.
We'll go to some questions. We'll go Dan first, and then BJ. Go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
When you look at the season as a whole, is there a particular unit that you feel like has made the most growth or biggest strides?
Yeah, I would say defensively, I think just the past 3 or 4 games, I'm certainly pleased. I mean, I think our ability to limit explosive plays has improved. Our tackling has improved. Certainly, our ability to create turnover the past couple games has improved and has been monumental in the 2 victories. So proud of that unit. I think statistically, when you look at our defense, those sometimes those stats get skewed by those Power Four games early. You just give up so many points and so many yards, and to see that side of the ball kind of buckle down has been great to see. I would also add in our punt unit. Our punt unit, our punter Luke has consistently improved. I think from week to week, our coverage has been more aggressive on the outside. Our gunners just preventing returns, causing havoc with returners. Coach Carey does a great job with our special teams. So, those 2 units in particular, I think stand out to me here, particularly over the last few weeks.
Just knowing from the past, when you've had a durable back, somebody you can give the ball to, over and over again, what's Markel Holman meant to the team this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly meant a lot. Markel, I've mentioned this multiple weeks. I mean, he's an excellent football player. I mean, you could probably put Markel a linebacker or safety or wide receiver. I mean, he catches, he runs, he's very, very football cerebral. Um, you know, he's he's a special player in that you really have to coach him on something one time, and he's got it. He's very good in pass protection. So all of those attributes that Markel possesses has been a little bit of a blessing and a curse. Certainly a blessing in that he's a great football player. He's been very productive for us this year. I think at times it's kept some other backs off the field just because he's really an every down back. You trust him so much in third down and in the pass game. And so we probably haven't rotated the backs maybe as much as we should have this year. But boy, what a great football player, and especially when that game became so impacted by weather in the second half, and it was very imperative, very evident. I thought Saturday that both teams were going to struggle to really be consistent in the pass game. You could see balls slipping out of receivers' hands, and maybe quarterbacks being a little bit inaccurate. For Markel to really take control of that football game on the ground, our offensive line to really want that football run. You could hear those guys barking for runs on the sideline. I think was really special, and obviously Markel had a great day.
You had 2 players this week, honored by the conference player of the week. Knowing that's just not about one individual for one award, what does that mean for the team?
Yeah, it's big. Obviously Markel had the great game. Don Paul Keith. I mentioned the punt team. He's been one of our most consistent gunners. He's been a starter for the majority of the year at cornerback. When you're a freshman corner, people are going to throw at you. I mean, people are going to try to pick on you and take shots at you and put their best receiver on you and figure out ways formationally to challenge you. And Don Paul's never flinched, and he'd be the first to tell you he's got a long way to go as a football player, just in terms of improvement. But he's gotten better every single week, and is long, can run, and just really proud of those guys. And then Justin Buckner probably could have been the defensive player of the week, could have been the freshman of the week as well. Has consistently shown up as just a really physical presence on our football team, has made an impact on special teams all year. Probably the last maybe 2 or 3 games has really seen his snap count increase on defense. I've mentioned before, he leads our team in knockdowns. Just a physical presence out there and a really, really high ceiling. So proud of those guys for winning the awards, but certainly, as a team, with team success comes individual recognition.
Thank you as always.
You're welcome.
We'll go to BJ. Go ahead, BJ.
Thanks, Kyle. Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Piggybacking on what you guys were just talking about with Markel, how about the offensive line Saturday? Can you talk a little bit about how they played in really a bad weather situation with Markel running the ball behind them?
So proud of those guys. It's been such a massive emphasis for us, BJ, as you know, since we took over here, to really rebuild the offensive line. And, I've mentioned Coach Wilson many times. He was one of our first hires here and has been very diligent in finding the right pieces up front. We're big, we're strong, and just maybe at times this year have not been as cohesive as we would have liked. And part of that is just moving pieces in and out because of injury. Part of that is just confidence that I think comes with playing any position, but especially on the offensive line. Saturday we had another unique configuration. James Duran, who'd been our starter for the majority of the season, we had to move him out to left tackle. We moved Michael Forney into center, got his first start, boy, it took those guys a little bit to get going. Dagan Miller had missed all the practices last week, had some injury illness stuff going on. And so we weren't exactly sure what we were going to get, Saturday with that group. But, I think in the first half, they were still trying to, feel their way through in terms of communication and identification up front. But really came together in the second half and rallied behind Markel and certainly helps that Markel is, he's a bowling ball in there, man. And he's a very, very difficult running back to bring down. He rarely gets tackled by the first defender. So collectively the offensive line, we've got 2 veteran tight ends that are just good, smart football players. In addition to Markel running the football, it was the perfect storm for us on Saturday.
And speaking of the tight ends, they both had a touchdown. And I noticed you guys have really designed some great plays for them this year, and they continue to perform. How does that look going forward to the future? Even after we lose these veterans, tight end will be an important position for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. Our offense is always going to be based and built out of 12 and 11 personnel. We've got some young tight ends that we're excited about here, but Alex and Brandon have played a lot of football. We have been very significantly affected by injuries at the wide receiver position. So we've asked those tight ends to take on a little bit of a larger role in the pass game. And I think they've responded. I think they've combined for 9 touchdowns this year, which I think is pretty unique for a tight end group, just a couple guys to have that at that position. They're both very sure-handed individuals. They're both smart. You can move them around. Alex has played just about everywhere for us: outside receiver, inside receiver, inline tight end, off the ball tight end, in the backfield. And Brandon has done a lot of similar things for us. So, certainly going to be leaning on those guys here down the stretch to play great football for us.
Last question on the other side of the ball. I know you've been rotating a lot of guys, veterans and youth players, on that front 3 defensive line. And then those 2 inside linebackers, Christian Pierce and Kevin Washington, played just about every down. But how good was that 5-man core of the defense after the first quarter Saturday?
Yeah, tremendous. I've mentioned Justin Buckner. I mentioned Zorian Bonner in prior weeks. He's just physical. He flies around. He plays kind of both overhang positions for us. We've moved Buju down to the field overhang. I think he's a lot more comfortable there. Just not the biggest guy, but physical on the edge. And then you mentioned Christian and Kevin just being mainstays in the middle for us. So yeah, I mean, excited about the production those guys have had. We still need to do a better job this week, in moving on throughout our last two games of stopping the run and preventing explosive plays, and I thought there was a couple times in that game where Lindenwood hit some explosive plays. And maybe in the past it would have led to a score and our defense was able to buckle down. And so just being able to tackle, consistently get guys on the ground, make the offense one-dimensional, are certainly things we're focused on. And those five guys, BJ, that I mentioned are big parts, what we're trying to do here down the stretch.
All right. And last thing real quick, Coach, looks like there's possibility of more weather again this Saturday. And obviously there was weather last Saturday. Do you prepare any differently when that's involved in the forecast?
Yeah, not necessarily. I know it's going to be warmer Saturday. I mean, there could be some rain and stuff like that, but to have weather in the high 60s, low 70s in mid-November in Illinois, I think rain or shine, we'll take it, man. So, this team's resilient. We say all the time, man, we'll play anywhere, any time, and we'll play anybody. It doesn't matter. The weather doesn't affect us. We don't necessarily prepare differently for that. When you talk about wet ball drills and things like that, again, I've coached quarterbacks for a long time. I think some of that stuff's a little bit overrated. I've seen coaches with water bottles, spraying balls and stuff in practice. Does it help? Does it not help? I can't answer that question, but here at Western, man, it's always going to be about us. It's never going to be about the opponent or the weather or anything like that. And we'll be ready to go Saturday afternoon.
All right. Congrats on the win. We'll see you Saturday.
Hey, thanks, BJ.
Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Great. Thanks so much, guys.